In this episode,
she says, your father's been clinically losing his memory for the last 2 years, and he had just retired. So I was like, oh, wow, the beginning of his life. And
people retire, they want to enjoy life.
He's and he's going to lose it all? No.
Yeah.
I'd already been taking peptides for about 3 years, and I just started designing stacks for him to rejuvenate his system. You know, each step of the way, he started coming back and multiplying. Not only did he recover, but he's a new man. When you have your blood sugar stable, you can actually go above your maintenance caloric intake, and something magical happens.
Okay.
So if you increase it by 50 calories, like 50 to 100 each week, you can rejuvenate your muscle mass, your skin, your hair, your everything. I had a client a couple weeks ago, and he came at me with the red blood cell count. And so I gave him peptide for that. And he went to his doctor, and it was completely reversed the next time. And he's just like blown away.
Yeah.
And so is
he
the
feels
doctor.
better too.
Yeah, the doctor's like, doesn't know what's going on. And he comes back to me, so excited. It's a miracle. And so now he's so into peptides now.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Health in Focus with Jacobus. I am your host, Jacobus Hollewijn. And as many of you know, I've been in the industry of health for a long time, about my life since I was like 19 years old, but professionally for the last 32 years. And I have learned through the years, in the beginning you get so enthusiastic, you want to know everything, you learn everything, and you read a lot, and then you go like, oh, I know what I'm talking about. But over the years and decades, I have to say, I've simply learned that the body and the mind and the spirit and the emotions are so complex, and they're so complexly packaged in this body that we have, that I am actually more humbled by what I'm learning along the way than that I feel that I'm a total expert. So you see already in Western medicine that doctors have moved away from the country doctor style, where they just treat you for anything you have an ailment about. They send you on to specialists. You have a brain specialist and a cardiologist, and you have a neurologist, you have an oncologist. You have all these specialists in the medical field today. And the reason for that is that the Western medicine realizes that the body is complex and need to have complete attention to detail in a certain aspect of the body. What I like is to make the body as a whole, look at the body as a whole, and then break it down into segments that are practical and understandable to anybody. And then when you understand how the body works, it will give you hope that there are a lot of things that you can do yourself to start feeling better. Now, one of the people who can really help us with this is my guest today, Tommy Snider. And Tommy has a couple companies, we're going to talk about it, but he himself started to get involved in this topic of peptides as one of the aspects that he has noticed and studied to really help our body move forward. It's a big buzzword these days, peptides. So we're definitely going to address that. But also to understand how peptides work in the body, physically, but therefore also emotionally. So we're going to talk about how peptides can help the body, how they can help our metabolism, how they can help our mitochondria, which are the energy centers in our body. So the combination of peptides, mitochondria, metabolism is something that Tommy will explain to us today. I'm so excited that you decided to come over and be in the studio with me and talk about this. Welcome to the program.
Absolutely. Thank you for that intro. That was great.
You bet.
You are an expert after all these talks.
I feel when I talk to certain individuals that I really know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
And other people, they're so good on what they talk about. I just keep learning. And so when I understood that you were coming to town and wanted to be on the podcast, I thought, wow, I need to catch up on things that I thought I know. Yeah. But I'm sure that you and I are going to learn a lot from each other maybe, and can teach our viewers quite a bit about things that they have questions about, and maybe we can explain it better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the topic of peptides is something that is coming up. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. just spoke to Congress. He is very excited that he is going to lift the ban on 19 different peptides that were banned by the FDA during the Biden administration. He feels that they should be, maybe you can tell me more what he is looking for, but they were banned from being compounded in compounding pharmacies as being unreliable. I understand concern if we don't know what the source of the peptides are. We need to make sure that everything is safe. But now that to me sounds like good news. What was your introduction to the peptide industry?
Yeah, so I've been using peptides consistently for 6 years.
Oh,
And I've also been doing what I do with metabolism for 23 years. So I understand my body at a high level and how it interacts with supplements and food and now peptides. And peptides are just branched chain amino acids that are in your body already. And it helps you awaken that system, whatever that system is. And there's a peptide for pretty much every system in the body. And I feel like because of GLP-1s or GLPs in general, we don't really know what's under the hood of all the other incredible peptides. And so I've studied to the ends of earth all the information about peptides. I'm loving this new found area where I can be a consistent student in. And I've been using them so long, but also prescribing them for a long time as well. And there's a lot of magic in them when you can infuse someone's metabolism or health and also be able to add peptides. I think it gives us about a 15% edge, which I think could be.
What do you mean by that? 15% edge.
Yeah, I feel like it's the greatest supplement we can add, period. Out of all the supplements I've ever taken, that's number one now. And I think it should be a baseline because we're working with our biology and enhancing that process as we age and rejuvenating it and awakening it, and it becomes alive again. And there's no end to that, I don't believe. We do it in cycles, and you have different stacks and different seasons, and it depends on what you're looking for up front. Like, what do you need? Do you need healing? Do you need to optimize your strength? Do you need to optimize your cognition? It's like, what is your wish? And peptides can help make that true.
I see.
Really love it.
So you say peptides are branched chain amino acids. They are very small parts of proteins. And amino acids are, I think many people know that, are the building blocks of protein. What I was reading, the difference between a protein and a peptide is the amount of amino acids that make up the protein or that make up the peptide. So the amino acid chain, let's call it that way, in a peptide is much smaller. Is that right? Maybe like 1 to 20 different amino acids.
Yes.
In a peptide, where a full protein could be up to 100 or 200 amino acids. So it is a smaller part of a protein. Now, how they isolate that, I don't know. Is there a certain process that needs to be done, or do you say it's naturally occurring?
It can be, because it's actually originated from animals, but then now they synthesize that and they can make it on their own without that. So for us, like in the future, it's going to be mostly synthesized. Bioregulators, though, are smaller, and they come in usually pill form, and they work on could be your kidneys or your testes or your blood vessels, and those are usually organ specific versus like a healing peptide or a growth hormone peptide that boosts your growth hormone, or a cognition peptide. Those two complement each other, bioregulators and peptides.
So if you take a peptide, either in a pill form or injection form, I think you work with injectables. Is that correct?
Yes.
Does it know where to go? And then I understand vibration, energy, frequency, that it connects with a certain organ. But then how do you know that you're not overstimulating something that should be destimulated or unstimulated? How do you know if a peptide is something that is going to benefit you, or if long-term use could become a problem? How do you check that?
Yeah. Well, number one, it's always great to have a blood panel to work with.
Okay.
Understand where your hormones are at, your baseline. And every peptide expert talks about having a positive lifestyle, a foundation, because that's everything. A peptide is a supplement, which the definition is in addition to.
Correct. I totally agree.
Right. So the level of efficacy that the peptide is going to have usually depends on like your inflammation levels, like, your metabolism and your energy production. And if you have to, fix any of those things, and usually people do, I always start with a healing peptide. And so then it clears the terrain in the body, and then you can work on other systems. Because you're not going to, if you need to heal the body, you're not going to probably work on your mitochondria because it's going to be inefficient. And if the brain is having a challenge, we probably want to work on inflammation first.
Okay.
And then add a cognition peptide in there.
So what is a healing peptide, for example? Something for the liver or for the kidney or intestines? What are you talking about?
Yeah. I'm going to rattle off a few names, but some people might not know them because it took me a while to figure out all the names.
Yeah, that's the confusing part for me. Yeah.
But the most famous one is BPC 157. It's mostly built of gastric juices from your gut, so it's already there, which is nice. It's one of the few peptides that you can take orally and also inject, and the efficacy still be strong because it'll help the gut lining if you swallow it. Versus if you inject it.
Oh.
And it just helps rebuild your tissues and lower inflammation.
That is it's just fascinating.
But
how is that possible? I wonder, how can you reduce inflammation by something that is simply an amino acid?
Yeah.
Is the inflammation because your body has become deficient in something and now you're overusing it?
Yeah.
So does a peptide then, it is the building block of protein, but does it therefore? I mean, I've been hearing things, listening to other podcasts about regenerating the what do you call it? The telomeres on top of the DNA, rejuvenating those. Is that one of the things that it does, and therefore it fights inflammation, or? How does that work?
That's a great question. There's a specific peptide called epitalin that works on the telomeres specifically.
Epitalamin?
Epitalin. Yeah.
Epitalin.
Yeah, it helps also rejuvenate the pineal gland. But it lengthens the telomeres. That's its specific use. And Dr. Kavinson in Russia has the most data on that peptide, and actually on peptides, period. And they've been doing that for 30 or 40 years.
My understanding, indeed, what I heard, the Russians started with it.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I'm reading a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So I understand insulin is a peptide.
Yeah.
And insulin was discovered or created in 1921 and officially started being used in 1923. They call it a synthetic peptide, but that is where the peptide would come, let's call it, in the modern age.
Yeah.
Over time, different peptides have been discovered, but I was listening to something that the Russians were the one that started it. It had to do with their sailors in submarines.
Yes.
Do you know that story? Can you explain something about it?
Yes. And astronauts and soldiers.
Oh, also.
And so like they were just coming back not as resilient, and their bodies were breaking down quicker than normal. And so they wanted to increase the half-life of their cells and their energy and just really their life. And so take, for instance, abitalin. I think it was over 7-year study, which is a really long study.
Yeah, you bet.
That there was like, a 10%, I think it's 10% increase. I don't want to in telomere length. But they did a bunch of studies like that over a certain amount of time. And it was just building resilience in those areas, like the soldiers, the astronauts, and the submarine, the people that were on the submarine. So that's what it was originally built for and tested for.
Right.
And that really interests me because, what if you're not in one of those situations?
Yeah.
How can it help your
life?
You
need help.
Yeah. How can it enhance your life? And every person that I work with that's over 50, they just want capability. They want to feel capable.
Yeah.
They want to get on the ground, play with their grandchildren. They want to get up again. They want to be able to run around and have energy. And if it worked for the soldiers, it's going to work for them too.
Absolutely. Is it something now, since the Congress is listening to Robert Kennedy Jr., is the Congress going to be important in approving the use of the peptides more, that they're deregulated, let's call it this way?
Yeah.
Or are they afraid? So one of the reasons why I understand Robert Kennedy wants to deregulate them, because he said something about people want to use it anyway.
Yeah.
So if you don't approve it, you're going to get black market stuff, and then we just don't know what's happening. He is trying to make sure that it is being produced well in the United States, I guess, and at least from a reputable source, and then make it available to the public. Do you see or know if this is going to be available as a supplement? You are working with injectables. You say you're working with your clients. You are also you're working with physicians. Is it something that eventually is going to be available to the public where they can just walk in the store and get it? Or do you say, no, it's probably going to be regulated as far as that is concerned?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're a concierge for doctors to execute peptides with ease. So dosage protocols, and even stacks. And so like what stack of peptides would you start first and whatever.
The stack is a combination of.
Combination, yeah, that's the term for it. And so like that's how we make sure that we're regulated in how we execute peptides, because we want to make sure it's the highest efficacy and right with the
highest
FDA.
Quality. Yes.
Yeah, and right with the FDA.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting that this is all going to come true in July, actually, where all these peptides are released as Category 2.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Because they were Category 3, which meant it was not available to the public, or Category 3 was,
it's going to go to
not
1.
available.
Yeah, Category 2 is not available.
Or Category 2 is not available.
Yes.
Or
yes.
Category 3 means it will be available.
Yeah. Well, it's going to 1, I think. Yeah.
It's going to 1. 1 is available.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
We shortly interrupt this interview to make a correction as well as an explanation about what is being mentioned here. In 2023, the FDA placed 19 peptides on Category 2, meaning they were considered to have significant safety risks and were not allowed to be compounded. As of May 2026, the regulatory status of many peptides is shifting. However, it is not a move from Schedule 2 to Schedule 3 under the DEA ruling, but rather a move from FDA Category 2, meaning restricted or banned, to Category 1, which means allowed for compounding by 503A pharmacies. A 503A pharmacy specializes in tailoring doses, removing allergens, or creating unique forms, such as liquids or creams, that commercial manufacturers do not produce. They will therefore compound custom, patient-specific peptides under state board regulation. Being in Category 1 does not mean a full FDA approval. It means they are allowed to be compounded safely. They cannot be legally purchased without a prescription. It also means they are in a regulatory gray area until a review by the Pharmacy Compounding Advisory Committee in July of 2026. Peptides come with interesting acronyms. They'll take a little getting used to. The 12 peptides moving into Category 1 include BPC 157, TB 500, GHK-Cu as an injectable, Epitalin, Cmax, DCIP, KPV, MOTS-C, LL37, Dihexa, PEG, MGF, and melanotan-2. Thank you, and please enjoy the rest of this interview.
So we're going to be doing it way more, a lot more freely, doctors are. And the biggest longevity conference in Vegas, it's called A4M, that was the biggest topic, peptides. And so everybody's talking about it. Everybody wants to learn because it's the new age medicine.
Yeah. You mentioned the peptides that are being used for this whole process now are coming from animals. Can you find peptides in plants as well? Let's say there are people who don't like to know that they come from animals. They want to they want to get it from plants. Are those available? Can you give me some examples if you know? Are they safe? are they efficient?
Yeah.
Effective, I should say.
Most peptides are synthesized now, so it's not actually from animals. But they did start that way. And so now it's just synthesized, and so it's not actually coming from an animal anymore.
Okay.
And so that'll take that problem out of it. So it's not a big deal.
Synthesized to me means synthetic. I've had discussions with people about thyroid medication, levothyroxine, Synthroid, and then the Nature-Throid, the one that is usually prescribed by naturopathic physicians. And I have said to people to listen, Nature-Throid is from a natural source. It's from an animal source, a pig or a cow. But I say too, I have never seen anybody squeeze the neck of a cow to squeeze out the juice and put it in a capsule.
Yeah.
So somehow there is a synthetic process that happens in order to create it into a pill that people can take. So when you talk about synthetic, are you talking about getting it from a natural source, animal source in this case, purifying, cleaning it, making sure everything is like they do with fish oil, right? They take out all the plastics, PCBs, the mercury, the dioxins, anything they can find in the ocean water.
Yeah.
And then they give you a fish oil that is clear when you hold it against the light, and it doesn't taste like fish anymore.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about as far as synthesizing it, or what exactly do you mean by synthetic product?
Yes. Well, you're talking about, I think, endotoxins and making sure that the product is clean.
Correct.
And so the term for that is like you want to have COAs, make sure it's authentic.
Certificate of, what do you call it again? Analogy? No? COAs, yes.
Yeah.
I'll find the
It's
acronym.
easier. Yeah, exactly.
I'll put it on the screen.
Yeah. So now it's like you can reproduce it without needing an animal. But there's a few peptides like bioregulators are mostly from animals, so that's in that pill form. But the only one that I can think of that's injectable form that is animal based is cerebrolysine, which I believe is the best cognitive peptide you can take.
Okay.
Really good for Alzheimer's, dementia. It'd be my number one go-to.
Because cows are really smart.
That's pigs, actually.
Oh, pigs are really smart.
That one's pigs. And I think that one's really cool.
Yeah.
But people really don't know about that one. It's pretty hard to get in the United States.
Huh?
And I think that's what people should be on if they have cognitive issues, for sure. It's the first one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So then the synthetic ones, you say we don't use an animal source anymore. Now, I don't want to confuse my viewers, but when I think about homeopathy, the whole 250 years of homeopathic medicine, they use a natural source and then they dilute it and then with the succussion, the shaking of it, succussion, they create this amazing product that works frequently, by frequency, on organs and healing the body and the mind. They use a natural source, but by the time you get it, it has been diluted and shaken up so many times, but it is so much more powerful now than the original source. Can I look at peptides the way you talk about it in that framework where we don't need to use the actual animal anymore? We have the extract, we have now broken it down to very small particles, to the peptides, and we're just using peptides. Do you understand where I'm going with this?
Oh, 100%.
Is this roughly what we're talking about in a similar concept?
Exactly, yeah. And we used to eat everything, all parts of the animal before.
Yeah.
And it would move through the digestive system. Well, this goes straight to your bloodstream.
Yeah.
It's way more direct.
Okay.
And usually, say if you take a supplement, only 10% of it is absorbed by the body. I don't know if people know that. But that's the average, right?
Yeah.
And so this one just goes straight in, and your absorption is way higher than that because you're not passing through your digestive system. And I think that's the best part about peptides because the impact is so much greater because of that.
Injectables, there will be people who are worried about poking themselves with a needle. Where do you poke it? Where do you poke yourself? Do you go to wherever you want to have it, or can it go to anywhere and it will find its way to the organ it needs to go to?
Great question. You use the insulin needle, so it's subcutaneous, and
It's a pretty small needle.
exactly, yeah. And they even have pens now where you can barely feel it,
Oh.
and it's almost like a stamp, and it's already preloaded, so you don't have to load it or anything, which is really nice. But you would put it, in your side or in your belly, around your belly button.
Okay.
You can also put it in your upper glute.
Ah.
What I love about BPC 157, the healing peptide, and
Yeah.
there's multiple others, is you can locally inject. So if you have a knee issue, you can put in the skin fold of the knee, and it can
Okay.
work direct on the source, elbow, shoulders. I've met people that couldn't sleep on one side for 6 months, 8 months, and within 3 days they're sleeping on that shoulder again.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty
Wow.
incredible.
About maybe 10 years ago, stem cells became super well. I did an interview with somebody in 2004 about the use of umbilical cord stem cells. So not from fetal tissue, but literally from the umbilical cord. And I did a radio show on it, and I had listeners who were just, what? Can you do that? That's amazing. So stem cells became the hot thing. And there are people who would then inject stem cells to help rejuvenate stem cells. Do you feel that that stem cell therapy is now overclassed by the peptide injections and theory that we have about it? Is it a continuation? Is it a combination of the two that we should use? What do you know about that?
Yeah, I love all things regenerative, and that's in that family. And what I love about peptides is it's way more affordable. So it's an easy entry point into regenerating your body, and maybe then down the line you get to stem cells. But them working together is incredible. But not everybody has $10,000 or whatnot to do stem cells.
Right.
But you could move through stacks of peptides and throughout a year, and you possibly could feel just as good, if possibly not better, during that time.
Yeah.
Especially since it's working on one thing. And so if you're localizing something, you're like, I really want to work on this, then you could see efficacy possibly faster than you could save up to get stem cells,
Right.
which I think is a good thing.
So if you talk about stacks and we talk about a combination of different peptides, for example, peptides for the pineal gland, which I understand is often used. Maybe you can explain what the issue is with pineal gland. Why do we want to focus on that? If people say, well, I have a pineal gland, I have a thyroid issue, I have kidney issues, I have cardiovascular issues, then you could say, yeah, you can use a stack of those 4 different families of peptides. Once you inject them, would that all come in one vial? Or would that be 4 different vials, first of all? Do you inject, how does it come? Could you get a stack in one vial?
Yeah, there's multiple that you could do in one vial, but
Oh, wow.
generally they come separate.
Separate, okay.
Yep, there's a couple stacks though that you could do for just healing where they come in one vial. I generally recommend that because people can get multiple peptides in one, and they're not used to, like you said, injecting themselves.
Right.
Versus like having 2 or 3 injections that might be like novice or not a beginner stack. And I think immediately when somebody does something, they want to feel it, and they want to know it's working for them.
We're very impatient.
Exactly. And you say, hey, by this time you're going to feel this, and you can't guarantee it because when you put peptides in your body, it goes where you need it the most. And so
It goes where you need it the most, so it by itself figures out what needs the most healing. Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, and so we could get some other positive thing out of it. And so I always get really curious about what someone's interactions are because it's almost an adventure. Like you never know what's going to happen, but there's always going to be something positive. And so for me, tracking, positive symptoms are really important for someone because you're reinforcing what their growth is. And then they're like, oh yeah, I am growing. This makes sense. And because people aren't used to tapping into that. And how they feel and how energy systems are coming back online, or I don't have pain in this part of my body and I'm being more active naturally without thinking about it. And I think that's really important to us moving forward. So like a stack, you asked about stacks. So like a first stack might be BPC 157, TB 500.
Those are for healing the body from pain.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Helps. Okay.
Rebuilds the cells, and that can clear the terrain, and they call it the Wolverine stack.
Uh-huh.
And Wolverine, he's known for rejuvenating quickly, and that's basically why they named it. Yeah. So that might be the first one, and there's a couple others that you could add on to that, and then the second one might be energy or mitochondria production, because when we were younger, we produced energy more efficiently.
Correct.
And if the body can work at that level again, as if you were 30 or even 25 feeling, then you're in a different place. You're living a different life at that point. And so for me, I'm 45, and I generally feel in between probably 28 and 32. And my metabolic age is 34.
Is that right?
Yes.
Huh.
So that's not just because of peptides, but I do all these other things
you
with
do different
metabolism.
things which we'll talk about. Yes.
Exactly. But it's the edge. And I started using peptides when I was about 39, as you cross that 40-year-old barrier. And they say that naturally you lose 1% of muscle mass per year after 40. The regeneration and like NAD in your body and your like the MOTS and the ability to produce mitochondria like goes down. And so if you can start supplementing that before you hit 55 or 60, then at that point, like you'll be 50 instead of 60, and I think that's a lot of us, that's our goal, is have a higher quality of life.
Quality of life. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I know that many of us, when we're young, we're a little bit more risky in what we do. We fall more, we hurt ourselves easily, we get involved in contact sports, we may get damage to the head, skin, muscles, bones, break bones, but somehow the body is able to simply rejuvenate. And I sometimes say, like some people say, there's no reason. People have said, you don't need to exercise because you only have so many heartbeats in a lifetime, and once it's gone, it's gone. And it's funny, so just take it easy, you live a long life. Then many times I thought we produce a lot of stem cells when we're young to grow.
Yeah.
And once we reach adulthood, then those stem cells are continuously helping us to heal when something happens.
Yeah.
So when we're younger, we heal more quickly and better. But then when we hit that point over 40, 50, we notice that we have used up so many stem cells when we were younger that the natural stem cell production is simply down. So we need to help the body heal now with metabolism, mitochondrial help, maybe some stem cell injections now with these peptides. Then I did that interview with Sam Shepard about cancer, and he started to talk about glutathione. Now, glutathione, he says, is something that happens abundantly in our young life, but with women after age 40, glutathione goes down. For men, age 50, it starts to go down, and he says it corresponds with more inflammation, faster aging, because it is a very powerful antioxidant that the body naturally makes. And then I asked him the question, I said, well, if you say that men's glutathione starts to decline after age 50 and women after age 40, how come that men in general die sooner than women? And on the average. And he said, well, because we go in a steeper decline and women go in a more gradual decline. So I know that we're losing stem cell production as we age. I know that the telomeres are coming down. I know now that the glutathione levels are coming down. So now we're looking at peptides that actually can help to rejuvenate all of those.
Absolutely.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that's very exciting. Yeah, you could stack glutathione with other peptides, and there's a bioregulator peptide.
Is
for the liver.
glutathione considered a peptide? It is an amino acid.
That's a good question. I actually don't know
that's
that.
a good one. I thought that in one of my literature, I thought that glutathione was mentioned.
Okay.
But anyway, consider the peptide. Maybe it is a smaller amino acid anyway.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's in that group. Yeah, I do multiple things for my liver because it's the number one thing that you need to take
Liver
care
and
of.
lungs, yeah.
But we're not taught that, right?
No.
But yeah, producing glutathione efficiently is necessary, and there are ways to rejuvenate the liver to do that for sure. Yeah,
It's exciting.
that's fun. Yeah.
So I want to ask you, because you told me that off camera, you helped your father.
Yes.
Tell us a story, please, because that is, I think, when you experience what you experienced, I can totally understand that you jumped 100% on the bandwagon.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I've been working with people one-on-one on a weekly basis for 30 minutes, organizing their environment to optimize, give them the keys to their metabolism, utilizing nourishment, movement, their mindset, their rituals, and their schedule. And if I can optimize their entire ecosystem and also have them eat whatever they want, because I can control the blood sugar of each meal with our tech that we have, then people reverse metabolic disease. Like muscle goes up, fat loss immediately optimizes because the body is in an abundant state. Because like to have your blood sugar stable, you have to be abundant and stable. It's the best point for highest mental clarity, best for fat loss, best for muscle gain, and you have no cravings because the buckets have to be full to manage the glycemic load of each meal,
Okay.
which stabilizes the blood sugar.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of like a peptide where you're mimicking the body's needs, where height, muscle mass, activity level is the algorithm. And if you can build someone's system from the ground up with food and never take away. So it's the opposite of all American diet techniques. It's actually putting them all back in and having them work in synergy together. And so the glycemic load is like the mystery that nobody's talking about. And 40 to 50% of Americans wouldn't be diabetic if we knew that. And so a long time ago, that was our whole goal, because I was one of the top grossing 24-hour fitness trainers in the nation 20 years ago when they were the superpower of health on earth.
What do you mean for top grossing?
Yeah, 24-hour fitness was the top fitness engine in the world 20 years ago.
24-hour fitness, is that those
gym.
independent little things that you can go in 24 hours a day and just lock in?
Yes.
We used to have one over here in Bozeman, and I never saw a trainer over there.
Well, this is a company. It's not just a 24-hour open.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a company. It was a long time ago, and they probably didn't have any in Bozeman back then.
Okay.
But I was one of the top trainers in the nation with that company.
Yeah.
And the other best one in Utah, we got together at a national meeting and we were like, hey, we were doing really well, but why do we feel like results are like 60 to 70% less than they should be, even though we're the best? And we said, okay, well, what's missing in elevating or transforming someone's body and giving somebody exactly what they need? Metabolic nutrition that controls metabolism, movement that's gradual, that builds someone's system but meets them where they're at right then.
Okay.
And then how do you apply that? So a person's mind has to grow perspective-wise as they get results. Their belief about themselves has to elevate, all those things, because when you transform that quickly, you have to be able to keep it. And you have to have the body and the mind to be able to do so, or you will go back to where you were.
Absolutely.
And with rituals, we call it investments that create who you are. And so if somebody has a positive ritual and you're building on those over time, slowly, it's like investing. It's going to compound interest. And that's something that creates energy for yourself and is positive in your life. And it's so small and finite, but it's built on a weekly basis.
Correct.
That means you'll never turn back.
Yeah, so you kind of turn the page and you start rewriting a new page in your book.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And usually every diet's about like 12 weeks or 90 days in America because they want to sell something fast and
Correct.
And also the ability to sell fitness or health to people is really just a niche. So like, how can I be special? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to single something out about health and I'm going to sell that. Well, health is
totally.
health is universal. And the easiest way I can explain it is the plant. You have sun, you have darkness, you have soil, you have water. And if you minimize any one of those, what happens to the plant?
It disrupts and dies.
It wilts, right? Somehow. But why is every system in America for health doing that? And so a way I can explain it is how is all energy created on the planet? So you take a dam and you have water You let the water through, it churns the motor,
Yeah.
and then therefore energy. So 2 points coming together and creating energy.
Correct.
But if you put less water in, does that mean it's going to be more energy?
No.
No,
No.
exactly. Never.
No.
That's why all diets in America and also GLPs, 20 to 30% of the loss is muscle mass, which is premature aging. Therefore, if the system goes down, can't create energy, immune system goes down.
Correct.
So we do the opposite. We reverse that idea. And so the abundant perspective is like, I don't need to take any food away. I can love what I'm doing, and I can eat what I want because I know my body and I know how to stabilize my blood sugar.
Interesting.
That's taught over time.
Yeah.
So with my father, about I think 3 or 4 years ago, we were in Venice Beach. I got an Airbnb, and I have a 5-year-old daughter, so we were hanging out there. And he went and took a nap. And so then my stepmom came in, and she says, "Hey, I have a secret.
Yeah.
I need to tell you." I'm like, "What? Secret?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me." She says, "Your father's been clinically losing his memory for the last 2 years, and he's got diagnosed with 60% memory loss,
Oh.
and he had just retired." And so I was like, "Oh wow, the beginning of his life, really."
Yeah, you're right.
And
You're right.
he-
When people retire, they want to enjoy life.
He's
right?
and he's gonna lose it all?
Yeah, yeah,
No.
Yeah.
So it was interesting because I had no fear in that moment, and I just said, "Let's start meeting once a week. Let's design the environment because I know cognitive disease is type 3 diabetes,
It is.
and if I can manipulate blood sugar and rejuvenate the system, I felt very confident about that." And also like the mindset, when you lose your cognitive ability, they put you on SSRI, depression medication, because they don't have a solution. And so then that is like kind of a feeling of falling, right? And my dad didn't want to admit it, but then when we got into it, I realized what was really going on. And so I'd already been taking peptides for about 3 years. And so I scoured the earth on how I could reverse cognitive dysfunction. And that's how I got into the Russian protocols and basically every neuropeptide on the planet.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just started designing stacks for him to rejuvenate his system. And he, each step of the way, he started coming back and multiplying. And he is 67 years old. Within 8 months, he had lost 60 pounds of fat, gained 25 pounds of muscle.
So,
And I've never seen my father look or act like that in my entire life.
huh.
And I'm like, wow, not only did he recover, but he's a new man. Like he goes and walks and he does hard things now. He plays pickleball. He does martial arts.
Really?
He does like weight training.
Yeah.
Like the other day he was doing sprints. Like my 67-year-old father's doing sprints.
Yeah.
But we built that slowly over time because like part of cognitive decline is not doing new things.
Not doing new things. Good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. Working with your proprioception and relearning new patterns and adventure. And most, men that work all their life like don't have a lot of adventure.
No, that was routine.
Right?
You do your routine.
Yeah, exactly. And so getting it out of his routine and expanding his perspective on what that could be.
Yeah.
And having him be creative and being a dreamer, all the while like stacks of peptides and infusing his metabolic system and not lowering his nutrients, actually increasing them.
Uh-huh.
And when you have your blood sugar stable, you can actually go above your maintenance caloric intake and something magical happens.
Okay.
So if you increase it by 50 calories, like 50 to 100 each week, you can rejuvenate your muscle mass, your skin, your hair, your everything.
And that is not even with peptides here. We're just talking about
Yeah.
making certain changes. Okay.
Yeah. And it's not only good for athletes, but you're talking about like men and women decline at that age. Everybody's talking about hormones to rejuvenate that system.
Yes.
Well, they're not.
I do. I've been talking to a lot of people about that
Yeah.
as a missing link that is often denied
Yeah.
by their physician,
Yeah.
who is just saying, you got a problem. This is how I would define the problem. This is the medication I have for to put a Band-Aid on. And again, these are cliche words that I use, but sadly, that is what is happening. And I feel that with aging, there is a decline in hormones. So I usually from what I have read, I always stimulate people to say, let's go back to more youthful hormones levels and make sure there is a balance in hormones. And so I believe what you just said, that is something that I'm working with. But you started to approach it even further.
Yeah, definitely. And with that system, feeding the body in the way that I'm talking about,
Yeah.
you reboot the system. And if you have hormones, it's going to accentuate what that is. And I recommend like focusing on what I'm talking about is feeding the body at a high level, without restriction, because as you get older, your appetite goes down.
Absolutely.
And they kind of stop eating.
Absolutely.
And, right? And that's only because it's mimicking their own environment. It's not that they just don't get hungry.
Right.
It's metabolism is built.
Correct.
And it starts with, at the beginning of the day.
Yeah.
And what we did yesterday affects today, and 2 days ago affects today.
Excellent point.
Right.
Yeah.
So like what I'm doing is I'm planning not just now, but like 3 days from now. But people don't think that way. They're in fight or flight, and they look at hunger as nuisance or something bad. But that's going to shut down your body and it's going to make you age faster. So what I do is I reboot that system, increase the hunger, but also feed them at a higher level because their engine is just building. Right.
You want to have the best gasoline in the tank.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's what I did with my dad because he felt more capable naturally. So I didn't tell him to do any of those things extracurricularly. I just invited ideas and allowed him to that to be his truth. And at each point, he had a different truth because I was building that system over time, and he felt like he could do more over time. And that was the key when that idea and, using the food, building the movement just to where, to meet him where he's at, to be that generator of that engine. And then, in comes the peptides to help him along the way. And that's where the magic really happened.
So you didn't start with the peptides. You first started his body kind of go through its own cleansing and repair.
Yeah.
And then you accelerated with the peptides.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You know how it is when people have been alive for a longer time and say you get above 50, you're not open to new things like that as much. So you got to introduce it really gently and slowly. And
did you explain him what you were going to do? Or so that he said, okay, that makes a lot of sense. I'm ready to go for it. Did you need to kind of do that? Or did you just say, let's start with step one and just follow my lead kind of a thing?
Yeah, it was step one. And I might introduce something 4 weeks in advance so that we're planting positive nuggets for him to like chew on for a little bit. And then you introduce. That's what I do with everybody, because it has to be actually them. I'm just asking them questions, because then it's non-evasive, because you have your truth inside, but sometimes we don't know how to ask the perfect questions to bring that out.
Good point.
And that's what I do. And because it's someone's choice always in what they do, instead of me telling them what to do, which is what we do in America, really just asking them the truth. They know the next step. And because I can control the framework of the body with metabolism, they have these access to newer points of growth. And they're not used to it at first, because they're like, oh, I don't know what the answer is to that question. I don't know what my intuition is, right?
Yeah.
But then when you clear the terrain and you make them stronger, all of a sudden lights turn on, and then they can make decisions like that again.
Yeah.
Which I think is really exciting.
So your stepmom, what did she end up doing? Is she jump on the bandwagon too and participating in the process?
Absolutely. Yeah. It was incredible. I mean, she had to be the person I worked through to get to my dad.
Okay. Because he was not capable yet.
Yeah.
Had you noticed his mental decline?
I had an idea.
Okay.
Because there's little signs, he might repeat something or whatnot. But my dad's really, really, really smart, and he can hide it.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
He's really good at that, and his biggest fear is people finding that out, and so he was really hiding it for a long time.
So he himself was definitely aware of it, that something was wrong. Maybe his wife had told him.
Yeah.
Hey, you keep repeating yourself. Oh, wow.
Exactly. Yeah.
I am indeed so saddened by the mental decline that I see with people around me, and so many people who are suddenly diagnosed with a mental decline. And I know in part because of certain medications that people are taking, that when you look at the side effects, you realize that it already says the possible side effects are cognitive decline, memory loss, dementia, Alzheimer's. And you go, how in the world could something with that kind of side effect have made it through the FDA regulation, first of all, if it was tested so well, and or how come that after it has now been in use for 10, 20 years, and we are noticing all these things, is it still not being scrutinized? I don't get that.
Yeah.
But then you come up with something like a peptide and stacks and what peptides can do for the body, and they're saying, well, we don't know if that is safe. I have a book, well, several books, there's this thick, and it is all about prescription drugs. There are a lot of prescription drugs out, and then you have the generic brands, they say it can also be sold under this name or this name. And it will tell you what it's for. It will tell you how to take it. It will tell you what may interact with it, such as alcohol or certain herbs or another prescription drug. And then it will tell you if you miss a dose, what do you need to do? And then it will say what are the potential side effects. So it will say the most common side effects, more rare side effects. It may even say if these things happen, make sure you check with your physician, right? So there's all these warnings in there, and I talk to customers. I'm not a doctor, but like I said, I've done it a long time. I've heard a lot of stories from people who are concerned, and then you start reading and studying this topic, and you talk to people, and they are going through this process. They are going through these side effects. But they say, but the doctor put me on this and I need to take it, and twice a day. Like twice a day. Like what are you taking? So it just worries me that somehow the way the pharmaceutical companies and Western medicine work together, they seem to be so certain of the success of the medications or the desired effect they're looking for is in that medication. But we're seeing so many people who are just being over-medicated. Just last week, a person who was 68 years old and is on 11 medications.
Wow.
3 for blood pressure.
Wow.
2 for cholesterol. There was 1 for cardiovascular health. There was 1 for cognitive issues, inflammation. And I have read before that the average American over 65 is on 8 medications. They may not take all 8 every day, but they take at least 5 or 6 every day. And then 2 or so on the average, they may have to take 3 times a week or once a week. And you go about that and say, are we really deficient in a medication? Or is there a misdiagnosis, or are we indeed deficient in something we don't eat, we don't process, we don't eliminate, like exercising, getting a good sweat, and using your muscles will help the body detoxify as well. And then take things, again, I go back to peptides, stem cells, dietary supplements, that maybe can have a rejuvenating, healing effect that will help us to overcome what we're suffering from. You follow my lead on this one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so how do you go about that? And I don't know if your father was taking prescription drugs because of his condition or since he was retired, and maybe that started to affect him as well. And if he was, is he off those right now, or is he still taking them?
Yeah, that's a great question. Great lead in too. I've been working with doctors side by side to reverse blood panels or reverse symptoms of a blood panel is a
Fantastic.
legal
Good,
term
good, good.
for about 5 years. And
Yeah.
all those things that you rattled off, I can make those go away in 18 to 24 weeks. I think you're guaranteed every time.
Huh.
Just metabolism.
Just metabolism.
Just that. Yeah.
So explain metabolism, please. Explain, when you talk about metabolism, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it's like what you said. When I'm sweating, that metabolic function helps me get rid of the toxins through sweat or urine, and so that is a huge deal. But eating and having a fast metabolism, processing food, not laying around, in your body,
Yeah.
and not moving, and your bowel movements are not regular. You're dehydrated consistently, not just like water, but really from food, and that slows everything down, and then there's dysfunction. And so metabolic dysfunction is responsible for 60 to 70% of disease.
Wow.
And so metabolism is the one thing that nobody really knows how to control. And we have all these diets, and we get people get their weight lower, but is their metabolism stronger after they're done? Usually no. And so just with that alone and covering nutrition and stabilizing the blood sugar, because that's the key.
That's the key.
That's the key. And the key to that is like consistent energy that's balanced. And so once you do that with the movement, that's the spark, kind of like how we create energy on the planet.
Okay.
And so then the system's it's supposed to go back to normal. It's not supposed to be like that. I don't believe that what I'm talking about is what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But the doctors, they're not taught that. It's not their fault. It's just they are just throwing things at it that are, it's like a ritual for them.
Yeah.
And my dad was on sleeping meds, cholesterol meds, and depression medication. And that's pretty close to the stack that they put people on, when they, start to lose their cognitive function. And
I read that rosuvastatin,
yeah,
Crestor,
yeah,
is the #1 prescribed medication in the United States today.
yes,
Rosuvastatin.
yeah,
They put everybody on statin drugs.
yeah. And
it will follow up by decline, mental decline.
exactly, yeah. 25% of the brain is cholesterol.
Yeah.
So
I think it's even more than that.
probably,
Tommy, I don't know.
it
I heard over
probably
80%.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah.
I mean, that's a big story, right?
It is.
And as soon as I found out my dad was on those, I had him get rid of them.
Yeah.
And when he came to visit me, like his hand was shaking.
Oh.
And I was like,
After you took them off.
no,
Oh.
while I was taking him off.
Okay.
I'm like, why is your hand shaking? And I took him off and it was gone
Okay.
within like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I went behind the scenes too, because I work with doctors, and I was like, hey, what do you have really for cognitive decline? Like, be honest with me. This is my dad here. And he's like, well, there's a drug the board's trying to, pass. And I was like, so you're saying there's nothing?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. And I was like, okay. Then I really understood what I
But
was working
whatever
with.
they have, you can't afford.
Possibly, yeah.
Right? I mean, most of those drugs are super expensive
Yeah.
that they use for cognitive decline.
Yeah. But it's not really, it's not efficient as far as my perspective goes, because I'm on the other side of things.
Sure.
But just with my experience, like just with Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia,
Yeah.
it's the other things that matter the most, because it's type 3 diabetes.
Yeah.
And heavy metals in the brain, not
Yeah.
detoxing and sweating,
Yeah.
and all the things together creates one storm, right?
Yeah.
But I think not blaming people and not blaming the doctors that don't know. It's really like that's what's pushing like the new age of medicine, like what RFK is talking about. And he obviously looks great for his age. He can do things like in a superhuman way at his
Yeah.
age, and it's obviously because he's doing a balanced protocol for himself.
Yeah.
And thinking about how long can I last, how sharp can I be, and that's what we're all looking towards, and that's where we're being pushed towards, I believe, which is really exciting.
It's exciting because he feels it works for him.
Yeah.
And he is the kind of person who says, listen, I don't have any personal investment in this, but if it works for me, it should become available for every American who wants to use it.
Yeah.
Right? That is what, in my opinion, that's important. Instead of forcing certain medication on people simply to temporarily help an issue, is not longevity, in my opinion. It simply is denying what is right in front of you and trying to understand what causes this. That's the big issue that I have. Dealing with symptoms, many diseases that we call diseases are really the body showing us through their symptoms what's going on. You talk about on your website, you talk about the importance of the emotional health, the importance of overcoming fear in saying, hey, there is an option out there and I shouldn't be afraid to take this step forward. You talk about mental health. You talk even about, on your website, you talk about the spirit. It is all connected, in my opinion, and if they get out of balance, the only way for your body to get your attention is to show you a symptom. And then depending on where your weakness is, that's where it comes out. I always talk about these stress dolls.
Yeah.
You know, you squeeze it, it pops out this way, you squeeze it, pops out this way. So wherever the pressure is applied, where does the body pop out, right? Where does it come out through symptoms?
Yeah.
That to me is just fascinating. When I look at people like that, I said, what is really going on with you? The times that I have talked to customers and say, I will give an example. Last week, I talked to somebody who has had this decline in his health for 35 years. And I said to him, what happened 36, 37 years ago?
Yeah.
And he almost started crying.
Amazing.
And he said, oh my God, this and this and this happened to me.
Yeah.
And I said, you had to deal with that loss, that sadness, that grief.
Yeah.
You didn't have time. You had to arrange a funeral. You had to take care of this. There was maybe a fire in the house.
Yeah.
You had to escape. All your stuff was left behind, but you have this fight or flight moment where you simply have to take action. And you don't have time to grieve. And then when you finally got everything organized and run and taken care of, your body says, okay, now it's time for me.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it breaks down. And then you go like, well, how come I was able to deal with it when this happened and now I fall apart? I better go see a doctor to fix me.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't understand that grieving and sadness and loss and gain is part of life.
Yeah.
Right? That is, I think, part of the concepts that you work with.
Yeah. It's the law of the universe, yin and yang.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. You
Polarity.
cannot have one without the other. So when you meet people and they say, Tommy, I want to understand what you're doing and I want to work with you, how do you go about that? What are some of the questions that you use as part of your intake? I don't know if you do an intake or not.
Yeah.
Or if you say, let's go to work, this is what I recommend. I take it that you work very much individualized with people and not just do a mass program.
Yeah, absolutely. Even though I believe that if we got everybody in the room, they would all be saying the same thing and realize we're all the same, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But everybody kind of comes at it a little differently, or maybe have a different symptom of whatever that thing is. But yes, understanding somebody's how they spend their time is the number one thing that I do first, and letting them know, that how we spend our time usually equates to who we are. And for me, it's just investments and where are those at, so I can help with their dreams and wishes, so that I can implement those without stress. And if we can create a system of application and a slow build, then they feel like they can do it. But it's really just understanding the 5 pillars of what that takes.
Okay.
And making sure that they reverse the psychology they have around things.
Okay.
And so, for instance, the first pillar is nourishment. That's how we get energy, but it's not just through food.
Okay.
And I believe that I call it nourishment because it's how we get energy, but diet and nutrition has a negative connotation of punishment around it.
Yeah, you're right.
And so, words become things, and what we want to do is define it how we need it. And nourishment is abundant, and that's important. And so I believe there's two systems that govern that. There's the nervous system, the emotions,
Yeah.
and then there's the biological processes of metabolism. And I think that those are also always spinning for someone, and they don't even understand what's going on with that typically. So I give them power by understanding how those two things work, so that they can take control of it on their own over time.
Okay.
And then the second thing is movement. And I call it movement because exercise also has a negative connotation to it. I have to exercise because I have to lose this thing on my body.
Right, yeah.
Versus like, I want to exercise and move to be more abundant or more capable.
Correct.
That's abundant, right?
Yeah.
And so when I ask someone the first time, I say, hey, what's the opposite of movement? And they say,
Well, non-movement, not doing anything.
yeah, stagnant.
Yeah, stagnant, yes.
And then what is one thing on the planet that's stagnant?
Nothing, I think, in Mother Nature.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So why would you think that stagnation was going to get you where you want to go? And how is that going to influence your emotions? And so movement is how we create energy. Movement is how we move emotions. The definition of motion is energy in motion.
Correct.
If we could define
That's
that,
totally emotion. Yeah, that's
yeah,
it. Yeah.
if we could define the body and use it biologically and link these two things together, nourishment and movement, and control it at the pace that we want to, that's freedom and power.
Correct.
If we don't understand that equation at any given point, chances are we're going to get lost in the equation, maybe even think it's not working for me, which is a typical psychological block for people, right?
Okay.
And that's mostly in America. People outside of here don't really think about that way.
Well, yes or no. I want to stop you right there because they often say, oh, in Europe they do things totally different. And I go like, I am from Europe. I go back to Europe, and there are definitely a lot of overlaps. And there are certain things that they do. People tell me, oh, in Europe you can have all these supplements. Well, trust me, there is not many supplements available in Europe.
Yeah.
But then again, most people in the Western European nations use bicycles.
Yeah.
They move. They don't eat too much. They all a little bit leaner.
Yeah.
And but it's
Still
not
have their
all
problems.
perfect.
Yeah.
But there is something about the United States, and that is, I think, part of the way that our government has created these agencies, the NIH and the CDC and the FDA, that have such a grip on what is good for us that I think it has made us a sicker nation than we had expected. And there's always the exceptions, but we both have seen.
Yeah.
You see with your work how many people are reaching out to you who think they did the healthy stuff. I looked at some of your testimonials on your website, and people are literally, I did CrossFit, and I was running, and I did all these exercises and weightlifting, and I didn't see results that I was hoping for. And now they reach out to you, and you say, let's break it down. And I appreciate that. So what is pillar number 3?
Yeah, it's mindset.
Mindset, okay.
And I used to think it's like the relationship to all things and how it affects our mind and our actions. And I used to think it was first, but until we understand these two, do we really understand our mind? And I understand that the way I think of it is our thoughts move with our blood sugar and our emotions. And with women, with stability, and they have access to big range of emotions with estrogen, and for them to be stable and be true to themselves in those moments versus being an unstable body, then maybe they're thinking in certain ways or doing certain things that don't align with their highest values.
Yeah.
And so like for me, putting those top 3 in sync are my favorite thing to do.
Okay.
Because I don't believe people really understand how to do that. Because about 8 years into my career, I could give you any food you wanted, give you the body you wanted, move the amount that you want to each week or that you can each week. Why would you walk away? And I'm talking about eating pizza, tacos, hamburgers.
What do you mean, why do you walk away? Why would you walk away from the success that you accomplished?
Why would a human walk away?
I see.
So what I realized after many cycles of that, of optimizing that environment, this little thing would stick out. Because sometimes like it wouldn't work for people. I'm like, oh, why would they walk away? That's weird. What I've broken that down to is I had to figure out why people do what they do at their core when they have everything. So when I get rich, like, why am I going to get poor? Why do I feel poor? And
Yeah,
it's that
totally.
idea, right?
Yeah.
And so then I spent about $250,000 on figuring out why people do what they do. And so I had to be steps ahead of them and with their mind-heart connection. And what it took is it took inner work with myself
Okay, makes sense.
because I had to be the mirror and understand them at their core level. And so because I could provide that abundant environment for them, we could find the holes. But if you can't provide that abundant environment, you can't actually find the leaks in the boat. And so then they can't get past level one, so they're not going to get there. And so I already know what's going to happen at 6 months, at 8 months, in a year. Because I work with the calendar year, I see 20 people a day, 50,000 hours of clinical experience, every walk of life. And so I can see it before. And then if I place that thing, like I said earlier, about like introing something 4 weeks in advance, then they're naturally going to move to that
I see.
naturally. And then they won't get in their own way because they know at this point, this challenge is for me and it's supposed to be here.
Yeah.
And then I give them the application or that nugget that they need. They're growing.
I see.
Yeah. Freedom. That's the goal.
What's number 4?
Number 4 is rituals. So we talked about that earlier.
So rituals. Okay.
Yeah. Like if I asked you on a weekly basis, what is one tiny simple thing you could do next week to give yourself a little bit more energy? And you would say?
Maybe eat a little bit more protein or fat.
Okay.
Or do a little bit more cardio.
Beautiful.
Or get some more sleep.
Okay. So let's go with the first one.
Okay.
And the first time I ask someone that question, and when I meet them, 95% of the answers get more sleep because they feel like they need to rest because they have no energy.
Sounds like Family Feud.
Yeah.
What did the people say? No.
Yeah. Literally, 95% of the time, I know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And
more sleep. Okay.
And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, cool. And then so yours was protein, and so then I would say, oh well, how much are you doing now? And then you would say this much. And then I would say, okay, your truth was that you need a little bit more. So let's create a little more stability about implementing this one thing here. And let's just do that this week.
Okay.
And I want you to give your best effort, not perfection. And then you come back the following week. Let's say you did 50% or 30% of like what I said. And I would say, wow, that's 30% better.
Yeah,
We're
right.
building on something here. How can we get to 40 now?
Yeah.
And then we do that little thing. And so if I asked you that question every week for 6 months, who could you be?
The best I can be.
Exactly.
Right? You reach what you thought about that you could reach.
Yeah. And every week the answer is going to be different because it's your truth. We're pulling it out each time and you know the way, but I'm prompting the way.
Okay.
And the number one thing we need when we find the answer is application. So like, how do we apply this? That's the hardest thing because our stress and schedules.
Yeah.
And
totally.
stress freezes all animals on the planet besides elephants and humans. We don't freeze. But afterwards, the animals shake it off. We don't shake it off.
Good point.
And so movement shakes it off. And if we're not moving, dancing, climbing, lifting, walking, then we can't shake it off. And so I already know that, so I'm helping them shake it off in certain ways. And that's part of the ritual process.
Yeah.
And it bounces around, and that the answer, because you went from one answer to the next answer to the next answer, right?
Yeah.
And then we just work with a primary answer. But we know later on there's probably going to be these other things that you're going to get to, right? And that's the magic of investing in yourself, but doing it slowly over time.
And having somebody who is walking side by side with you.
Yeah.
That you feel that you're not alone on the journey, but that you always have somebody you can talk to, even if it is once a week, who will say, okay, let's go back to where we were.
Yeah.
What is next?
Yeah.
I see.
It's understanding.
Yeah.
And then being able to ask the quality questions.
Okay.
And then once you get the question, here's 1 or 2 ways that works for everybody else to enter that application.
Yes.
And then you observe. Works every time. It's awesome.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. Number 5?
Number 5 is schedule.
Oh.
So every single person that I meet, back to stress, says that they have a busy schedule. I don't care if you're a Fortune 500 CEO, a doctor on a board, a teacher, or a stay-at-home mom. Everybody says the same thing.
Yeah.
So again, frozen. And if I put like one thing on top of a stacked schedule, they crumble, right? And they'll think it's the thing that you put on top. Oh, I can't do that. And so what I have to do is I have to sneak it in ways that are simple and but structured. And the slow build of creating a higher point of energy for them is the key. Because when people are below baseline energy or the way they feel, or sick or whatever the diagnosis is,
Sure.
then when they go on a diet, they're trying to get to baseline. But because you're taking away food consistently, somehow you're going to be in a deficit.
What do you mean you take away food consistently?
So if you take away carbohydrates.
Oh, because you go on a diet, so-called,
Yeah.
or even working with you. No, you say you
Doesn't
can
work
eat
with
whatever you want.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I
Okay,
make
good.
sure I always put it back in.
Yeah.
But they'll take something away, but they'll never get to baseline because they can't get to max power because they're taking something away.
Yeah.
Only 5% of people that do keto keep it. And so it's like almost
Same with
impossible.
carnivore.
Yeah, exactly.
Some people are really good at it. They do it for years, but other people use it for a specific reason.
Yeah, and we're not supposed to be there really, because like if you talk to an athlete, they're probably going to eat carbohydrates or have fruit, right, or whatever.
That's right.
And so like for us, like knowing the power in that and knowing that it could be something that you fast from, but like you don't always do that. And so creating that higher point of energy is getting them above baseline, get their blood sugar stable, and then when they drop to below baseline, that's when the wisdom is created. And the calendar year is full of transitions.
Interesting.
And the biggest thing that I tell people in the first session is transitions are the biggest thing that throw off health rituals. Sunday to Monday,
Correct.
kids' school starting,
Yeah.
moving, a new job, Christmas, a new season, so many transitions.
Yeah.
So like I tell them like, hey, I need to show you every single transition in the calendar year that stops you. And chances are if we don't move through a season, then you're going to come back to that season and have challenges.
Interesting.
And
Yeah.
so I help them align with that, mastering that calendar and the terrain of their schedule. And what they say after 6 months is they develop foresight. They can see the future because they know what drops them in energy and how to rise back up again.
Okay.
And then they become a master of their schedule. Therefore, stress is way lower.
Yeah.
Stress in the body, trust in the mind.
Do you work with seasons?
Oh, yeah.
Are the seasons, as far as energy level within the seasons change, is that something you are able to incorporate?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, everything changes in the season. So,
Yeah.
like, why don't we?
Yeah.
Of course we do.
Yeah.
But we're not really taught to work with those seasons, with food, with movement, with, where their mind-heart connection is. But I like to amplify that and be like, hey, here's this hurdle right here. We're going to do this before it gets here. And whether you stumble or you prevail, then that's great information. And we'll take that into our next section for us. And we're always building no matter what.
In this, I haven't heard you mention anything about peptides.
Yeah.
Now, you're passionate about peptides.
Yeah.
And is this something that comes up at some point in the conversation
Yeah.
when people are stagnant?
Yeah.
I don't think they are, because the way you explain it, nobody will be
No,
stagnant.
they're not.
Everybody is improving.
Yeah.
But is there a point where they're looking for the finishing touches, the cherry on top kind of a thing?
Yeah.
Is that where maybe an introduction to peptides, or is this something that you see as two separate things?
Yeah. So I don't push supplements. I don't push peptides at all like that. What I do is I'll have like a symptom or something come up, like, oh, I hurt my shoulder, or oh, I feel like this in a negative way somehow. And I'd be like, well, have you heard about peptides
Okay.
and not just GLP-1s? There's some incredible things that are going on, and I work with certain patients that have great results.
Yeah.
And then what I'll do is it's a soft opening. If you want more information, I'll send you an email on all of these certain peptides, whatever their challenge is.
Yeah.
And then you can decide. I can even send you some podcasts to see how you feel. And if you come back and you want to try some, let's do it. And we'll test it along the way.
Yeah.
And then usually something awesome happens.
Yeah.
And then they say, oh, well, what's the next thing? I'm like, okay. I had a client a couple of weeks ago. He had low red blood cell count, I think.
Okay.
and he's 73. And I worked with him. I'm still working with him actually, but he had lost like 150 pounds. He was like 410 pounds.
So,
And so he had his shoulder and he couldn't sleep, and he was having problems like weight training. So I gave him some peptides to fix that. And then he came at me with the red blood cell count. And so I gave him a peptide for that. And he went to his doctor, and it was completely reversed the next time.
so
And he's just like blown away.
yeah.
And so
And
is
he
the
feels
doctor.
better too.
Yeah, the doctor's like doesn't know what's going on, and he comes back to me so excited. It's a miracle. And so then now he's so into peptides now. And so little things like that really get people going, and I think that's really exciting.
Yeah.
So I like to do what I do plus peptides because it's like this force multiplier. And I just get to sit back and watch the fireworks.
I know, Tommy, that one of the things you love to talk about too is mitochondria. To simply say mitochondria are the energy centers in our body, of in our cells.
Yeah.
In a way, it simplifies it, but it's more complex than that. Certain cells have up to 2,000, or maybe even more, like liver and heart cells may have up to 2,000 mitochondria in one cell.
It's a lot.
Can you explain to the viewers why you love so much, why you love this whole concept of mitochondria so much, and how do you incorporate that in your work with clients?
Yeah. Well, in regenerative medicine, it's the number one thing they're talking about. And that's why I love peptides so much. And it activates that, system and helps multiply it again.
Okay.
And so there's a couple peptides that help that, which SS31 right now is one of my favorites to do that because it rebuilds the walls of the mitochondria. And it
Walls
helps,
of the mitochondria.
it helps rebuild the heart. It helps rebuild the brain. That's a potent one. And it's one of my favorites lately. So, and you would pair that with NAD, which really...
NAD, the B3 derivative.
Yeah.
It's a precursor to B3, or B3 turns into NAD, right?
Yes, exactly.
One of the two. Yeah.
And those two, I like those two together. So,
So NAD, I want to explain it now. Is that also a peptide? NAD, or is that just the dietary supplement?
that's what that, that's
Okay.
the secondary.
Yeah.
So, anyway, back to mitochondria is, yes, it produces ATP for the body and the brain.
Correct.
And that's the easiest thing that people are going to want to know.
And ATP is energy.
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 Yeah. And energy controls everything in the body.
You bet.
Because we're electrical. And what they don't tell us, though, is it's half of one system. It's metabolism and mitochondria working as one. And so metabolism is the fuel for mitochondria. If the fuel is faulty,
Correct.
then it's going to make the mitochondria faulty. And
Correct. Or it doesn't get absorbed, maybe.
exactly, it's just going to not work efficiently.
Correct.
It's like not getting an oil change, and how's your car going to run?
Right.
Right. And so you need that oil change. You need that unique subset of energy coming in so that the mitochondria can do its thing. And so what we're missing is those two pieces, and talking about it as one system. And if we understand how to do that, then we would arrange our lifestyle to be able to promote and enhance that system.
Okay.
And so for me, as soon as like these buzzwords started coming out, like in the medical realm,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I've been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. Finally. and so for people to like run their bodies based on that and reverse blood panels and control their system, that would be the number one thing that they look at. But that's the outcome. Like, what are you doing to get the outcome?
What's the process?
Right? Yeah.
Right.
And if we don't understand the system, we can't ask us like what outcome we want to get because we don't know how the system works. And the way college works is they'll teach you one thing in a specialty, and then they won't tell you about the other thing. But it all works together. We're the most incredible biological machine on the planet.
Yeah.
So if we're all singled out and everybody's knowledge is separate, then how are we going to get to that big system? We're not.
Yeah.
Because I had to do it on the back end of education and different certifications and doing all kinds of accumulation of all this information that I needed to figure out to be able to control the metabolism.
Can you get specific with mitochondria, or is it something that naturally fixes itself by watching what you put in the mouth and how your body metabolizes?
Yes. Every
Yeah.
time, every single time that I've worked with it,
Yeah.
that's what I see. I feel like
But
now,
can you pinpoint to liver mitochondria or heart mitochondria or pancreatic mitochondria? Can you get
yeah,
specific, or is working on these certain glandulars or bone or any cell in the body, right?
yes,
We have, sometimes I hear 70 trillion cells in the body.
yeah,
Sometimes I hear we have 35 trillion. But anyway, there's a lot, right?
yeah,
Does every cell get healthier in their mitochondria health workings because we improve our metabolism, because we improve our emotions, we use our spirit in the way that works for us, we use our mental health? Does that automatically translate healthier mitochondria, or do they work together, accelerate? We keep going step up
yeah.
by just improving one, the next one improves, the next one improves, etc.
That's the way it works.
Does it make sense what I'm
Oh,
asking?
100%. And
Okay.
I see you like talking about the liver and like separate, pieces of the body, but we're talking about the whole system is being affected.
Okay.
And so if you optimize that system, then it upgrades everything. And then you throw in peptides where you're singling out systems while you're doing that. That's the magic key. Right now, regenerative doctors are just talking about, mostly peptides because they know it can influence mitochondria, but they don't have the other piece where, the fuel's coming in. And so they're going straight to peptides. And yes, it's going to have some kind of positive effect,
Yes.
but not the same if they were doing it from the other side.
The other side, you mean work on your metabolism, work on do the exercise, the discipline, the schedule, the 5 pillars that you were talking about. That's what you mean?
Exactly.
I see.
That's why we partner so well with doctors because they have the other side of everything. And for me, I can basically control the body and its outcome so that when comes time to do your blood panel, you're going to see improvements every single time. I have never not seen that. And that's the magic in it all because it's one system instead of thinking and breaking it down the American way, which is like 42 different doctors and different specialties across the board.
Yes.
Well, if we got them all in and locked them in a room for 6 months, I bet we could figure all this out. But they're separate, so that's hard to do.
Plus, they're bound to the knowledge that they have.
Yes.
And their profession often tells them they cannot say certain things because they're under a certain oath of what they need to stick with, right?
Yeah.
So this
But
morning,
we are getting closer.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
regenerative medicine and functional doctors are really pushing the envelope on this, and that is exciting.
I talked this morning to somebody who was so excited that I was going to talk to you. And she mentioned that she has a client who is 5'1", was 350 pounds, 325 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And she ran into her not too long ago, and she was down about 130, 140 pounds. She was down to about 180, which is still for a 5'1" person, is still kind of heavy.
Yeah.
But she said, I couldn't believe when I saw her how amazing she looked. And she asked her what she had done. And she said, the only thing I've done, I have cut seed oils out of my diet. And here my friend says, I realized that I buy organic, I buy natural, and it's all clean. Like she was talking about salad dressings, for example, all like Paul Newman's or, Amy's or whatever you have. And then you turn the bottle and you go canola oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil.
Yeah.
And these are the oils that are all omega-6s, which omega-6 is an essential fat for us. But it is not, it doesn't break down well, it doesn't metabolize well in our system. So isn't it interesting when you talk to your clients, do you educate them about when we make changes in your diet, you tell people you can eat whatever you want, which I get. But do you also help them to explain certain things that they're eating and why they may not be good for them because they don't break down, or they have certain estrogenic effects, or they're synthetically produced, or whatever? Do you help people along the way and say, I want you to eat whatever you want to eat, but I as a professional, I have to explain to you that certain things are probably not in your best interest? Are you able to do that, or you don't go in that direction?
Yeah.
I mean, you have success.
Yeah.
I know you've been doing this for 23 plus years. And like you say, 50,000 professional hours just working with people. You work with doctors who listen to you. So you may be saying, what's working is working. But do you also give certain dietary guidelines that people should pay attention to?
Yes, and I try to do it in the most abundant way possible and empower them. I think we always talk about like, oh, here's the problem, stay away from this. And it's kind of this hammer, almost like when we're kids and our parents tell us not to do something, right?
Yeah. Then you want to eat it.
Yeah, like, oh, whatever, and you be a rebel. But if I can explain to them like, hey, just from the get-go, hey, we're gonna, cut out seed oils, and I'm not gonna talk about it right now, but here's some swaps. And here's the thing to do, that your dressings or use butter or whatever those things are that taste even better, honestly. But it's providing the solution while you educate them about what's not in the highest alignment for them.
Okay.
And so if you don't have that swap, then it's like they're boxing themselves in more and more and they feel trapped. But our goal is, freedom and getting to their potential, or feeling that they are. And so like, seed oils are a big deal. In my studies, they stay in your body for 2 years.
Oh,
And if
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And if I'm making a conscious decision to ingest seed oils to create a cytokine storm in my body of inflammation, then that's a really conscious decision to do.
Right.
For me. It's a 2-year decision.
Yeah.
And the cool thing though about that is like all the food that I have that don't have seed oils taste even better. And that's the beautiful thing. Like, I don't think people understand that.
Yeah.
And once you introduce that idea, everything starts to change, and they're like, oh yeah, I get this now. But they have to have real-time suggestions with that, or it just won't work.
Yeah. Are there certain other foods that you think about that, besides the seed oils, that you say, I have noticed that they're either manipulated so much in the process of before it gets into our actual food supply, or otherwise where you say, look into those, and I recommend, maybe in your case, this is something you would probably do better without,
Yes.
or you would do better with?
Yeah, the number one thing is refined sugar.
Absolutely.
It's not considered a food because it takes away energy versus give back.
Exactly.
It reacts the same in the liver as alcohol, and kids are getting fatty liver at like 6 years old, really early now. When in the 80s, like that wasn't even a thing. Like,
you're right.
At all.
This is only 40 years ago.
Yeah, it was very short term. And so I don't want to
high fructose corn syrup, obviously.
Yes. Yeah. Anything that causes that. And I don't like to be the sugar police, but my goal, like I said, is to put something in instead. And so if I can have like fruit in their diet paired to be able to stabilize their blood sugar, plus feed them enough broad range of nutrients, the sugar cravings go away. And what they say is like, oh, like, I don't really have that craving after dinner anymore. Like, why? And, oh, maybe it's the fruit, or maybe it's the vegetables, or maybe it's the salt, or maybe it's the steak. I don't know. They're trying to figure it out at first. And so if you can turn off that biological need of like starvation, because we've been taught that sugar is the replacement for fruit or a carbohydrate. And that's the first thing that we go to. Oh, I'm tired, I'm going to have some sugar. Well, you're going to be more tired after that. And the 3 things I talk about sugar to like help people understand the structure of it is, number 1, it's the most profitable drug in the world. It's a toxin. That's what it really is. And so understanding that, and it's also the cheapest. So I think number 1, the way it's designed in our society is going to be a certain way, right? Especially if the tobacco companies bought the top 4 food companies in the 80s. And so when they had the low fat diet come in the 80s, they noticed all the products taste horrible. Well, then they put sugar in it,
Yes.
and everybody bought it more, right?
Yes.
So then the narratives of like, oh, don't worry about your body, love your body anyway, or don't, who cares what size you are? You're
Yes.
beautiful anyway. That's like, that's an unconscious psyop that says do it more.
Yeah.
And what we want to do is say, okay, well, how does this molecule work? And so the number 2 thing is that it shuts leptin down, and that's what tells you you're full or not.
Leptin.
Yes.
Leptin.
And
It's
so
a protein, right?
Yeah, so like that's a signal that keeps you full. And
Okay.
so like the easiest way I can explain to somebody is like you'll be out eating and you'll eat and then you'll think like, oh, I'm kind of full. You sit back and everybody will be eating or talking and then you'll be like, oh, I think I'm hungry again. And they'll go eat more. But then 20 minutes later they're on the couch and they can't move.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
So we've all been there, it's normal.
Yeah.
But that's the first notion was that, you were full, but that chemical response like override that system and then you decided otherwise, right? And so like if you can understand the way the body works on that second stage, then maybe you can stop it in time that you actually know is time to stop that. And you can still have sugar if you want to, or any other sweetener for that matter. Number 3 is that your blood sugar spikes and falls, and it mimics the same feeling as depression. And so if the high is gone, it's the shortest high in the world, number 1.
The highest what?
It's the shortest high
Oh, the
of any
shortest
drug.
high. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's why it's the most profitable, because you have to go do it again to get high again.
Yes.
Right? And then number 2, it shuts down the ability to feel hungry, and you're depressed about it, so you keep doing it again and again, seeking that out, but you don't know that you're on the hamster wheel. And so the only way to combat that, in my eyes, is feeding someone enough so they know what satiation actually feels like. And then that deficit in dehydration and sugar and energy doesn't go straight to sugar. It goes to exactly what you need. And then sugar is just a thing that comes in and out sometimes maybe. And then it goes out more and more, because when you get metabolically healthy, when somebody has it, they actually have the real symptoms that are going on, because they're not masking the symptoms anymore. And the easiest way I can give an example is like, how does a smoker get from 1 cigarette to a pack a day? It's the same thing.
Well,
with sugar.
It's sugar, yeah. My understanding is that tobacco industry are the second largest consumer of sugar on the planet. So food is 1, and then tobacco. There is only one American cigarette company that doesn't put sugar in. It's called American Spirit. All other cigarettes with filters or no filters contain sugar.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I had heard something about that, but I didn't know all of them.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they own the food companies.
Yeah, that's right.
They know our biology.
Yeah, but maybe that has changed, but that is how it was. And there was a book written, it's called Sugar Blues. Sugar Blues.
Interesting.
That was fascinating because we just don't understand what sugar is. Just because it says a word that is sugar, it literally has been stripped down to a white substance that has nothing in it, that in order to digest in the body, to even be processed through the body, it needs to pull the nutrients from the bones and from the cells. So it depletes our body of building blocks in order to be processed. And then the other thing is that your brain, I often tell people the section above your neck is your coach, is your brain, tells you what to do all day long. It needs fat, it needs cholesterol, it needs in order to function, but what it really craves is sugar.
Yeah.
As soon as it runs out of energy, just give it a Snicker bar.
Yeah.
And we're good.
Boom.
You know?
Yeah, relax.
And or a piece of fruit or chips and salsa, or whatever is your high, or alcohol, or because as soon as it hits the taste buds, it goes straight to the brain within 7 to 10 seconds. You're right there, and you right away you feel fulfilled. That is why also many people when they smoke, and you offer dessert, they say, "Nah, I just go smoke a cigarette outside." Because it calms them down as soon as they inhale. It's like, you know.
Yeah.
It's interesting how it works. And because of that, I totally agree with you. This is something that you talked about in the beginning, is this whole glycemic index, to understand glycemic, the sugar index, how sugar metabolized in the body. Sugar has become such a big part of the American diet because everything has to taste good, right? But if you keep eating the same stuff, you plateau on that and you need more.
Yeah.
Right? It's hard to say this is enough. Another one that really worries me in the sugar part, besides high fructose corn syrup, is aspartame. And NutraSweet and Equal is all the same thing. That apparently took 20 years to be approved through the FDA, because the FDA members, individual committee, they said this thing turns into, there's a part of aspartame that breaks down out of the aspartame. So when you eat something with aspartame, in the body it breaks down into different metabolites. Aspartic acid is one of them, phenylalanine, and there's another one, amino acids. But the one turns into formaldehyde. And that is a horrible brain toxin. And so formaldehyde, the body is 98 degrees, but this specific component turns into formaldehyde at 89 degrees. So anytime you consume it at 89 degrees, and well, like I said, with 98 degrees, even if you have a low thyroid and you may be like 96, 97 degrees, you still SOL on this one, right? Because it just turns into this neurotoxin that not only is addictive, you want more. But what worries me is it is in all these diet sodas. And the other day it came up in a TV show I was watching, and all the people on the show said, well, yeah, I drink diet soda, I think two every day, and they made no qualms about it. And I go, oh my God, there are so many other choices to get something that is more healthy. And in the worst case, just drink agua. I like soccer, and what was I doing? One of the tournaments, Cristiano Ronaldo, he did an interview and to the media after a game, and they put a bottle of Gatorade in front of him, and I think it was Gatorade or some kind of, maybe it was Coca-Cola or something. And they put that right in front of him. It's kind of like we're sponsoring this whole tournament, and he just sit there and he put that away. He said agua.
Oh yeah,
he just wanted water. Yeah,
I remember that.
It was like that was pretty cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah, and another thing that I recommend many of the customers. So many of them are drinking so much water, and I tell them, I said, if you drink that much water, then you're flushing out everything that is water soluble. So I usually recommend that they add some trace minerals to the water, so that minerals hold on to water, so you feel much more, you feel less thirsty.
Yeah.
That's one. And number two, most of these minerals are involved in metabolism in your body. Enzyme, magnesium, which is of course not a trace mineral, but magnesium is involved in more than 400 enzyme metabolic functions in the body.
Amazing.
And zinc in more than 300 functions. So you're talking about minerals that all have functions that we cannot do without. And when you start taking sugar, you're actually affecting your metabolism not in the way that it is supposed to work, where you actually need more minerals. And so then we talk about mitochondria. I'm sorry, I'm talking.
This is awesome.
You're
good. Keep going.
Do good.
Got you revved up.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
But when you talk about mitochondria, and we put things in the body that are hidden in the food, and we don't know anything else but just grab whatever is on the shelf. Look at the food supply that we find in grocery stores, and you have to start reading labels in order to understand what am I actually putting in my system. And obviously, we cannot tell everybody what to eat all the time. But for those who listen to a show like this and have made it this far in the interview, they probably say, I am aware, and I want to be aware of what I'm eating, and now you tell me things that I didn't pay attention to. I want to eat what is good for me. I want to eat what tastes good, Well, you can combine those two,
Yeah.
but then realizing that when you put it in the mouth, that it has to go through a digestive system that has to break every part down to a micronutrient before it gets to the intestines where it gets absorbed.
Yeah.
So now it enters your bloodstream, now it enters your body. Then you start realizing I should become more aware of making choices.
Yeah. 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 Once you understand those building blocks and how to pair food together, you know what you're missing.
Yeah.
And you can pinpoint it when
Yeah.
you get used to it, right? And
Yeah.
I know you can do that with yourself. But when you're in that, storm of inflammation and not knowing, you're just in a loop of not knowing. But you can begin to put the pieces together really simply. And one thing I help my clients lead to, it's you can have it all and more. Like
Right.
you don't have to lose something to gain something. You can
Correct.
you can
Correct. Yeah.
you can replace it and keep building.
Yeah.
Like it can be abundant. Like we're taught that health is scarce in America. I believe it's so that we don't master it. Because if we're in a scarce state about health, like we want to be free as humans. We don't want to be locked in a box and told that, like, hey, to be healthy, you're gonna have to be a prisoner of
Yeah.
your choices, and live like this forever, and also have it be a punishment. Like they're always going to go back to the other side of
Yeah.
just disassociating from it because it's baseline trauma. But it's really just like the keys to having everything you want and more.
Yeah.
And that's hard to. I consistently reinforce that, but it takes a long time for people to get it. And at first, they're just like trying to go with horse blinders on and not go out of bounds somehow.
Right.
If I'm not perfect, then I just kick down my castle and I can't do it anymore.
For many people, you are correct. It is literally a switch that needs to go on, that they know it can be done. They can become the best they can be, no matter what the setbacks have been. And some people have had horrible injuries and are suffering the consequences for decades to come, or they've already been suffering it. But still within that, there are ways to repair the body. And I want to come back to peptides. I had a friend who asked me a question.
Yeah.
He says, my interest, this is a man who is writing a book about diabetes, who he has produced amazing dietary supplements. He is still working on new supplements right now, but he's intrigued by the concept of peptides. And he says, my interest is in using certain peptides to restore tendons and ligaments in speed, strength sports like tackle football, soccer, hockey, rugby, etc. Also, my main area of focus is in improving and restoring neuromuscular reaction and quickness, especially in high-level athletes. My new supplement category addresses repetitive head impacts, as these reduce reaction and quickness, which makes total sense. If you have traumatic brain injury, for whatever reason, it does affect your reaction time and quickness, which therefore increase the risk of ligament tears, and it can have a negative effect on information processing, memory, focus, and mood, especially in pro athletes. He's asking a few pertinent questions about peptides and athletic performance and injury / cognitive / neuromuscular risk reduction. When you hear this statement question, you have any suggestions?
Yes, and one of my favorite categories of people to work with is athletes because they'll do anything to perform at a higher level, and so they're just open to more, which I think is really exciting. And the way I see it with peptides, what you asked is there's cognitive boosting peptides, and then there's muscular tendons and healing peptides. And so for me, starting with the healing is I mentioned the BPC 157 and TB 500 Wolverine stack.
Okay.
Well, that's one, but then there's GHKCU, which is the copper peptide, which regenerates tissue, skin,
hair, all that stuff.
That stuff, right? There's also KPV, which is antimicrobial, which will help clean out the system. And I think that's a really awesome one that people don't know about. That can also help heal the gut. And so like just less inflammation in the whole body you're gonna perform at a higher level anyway, especially in the joints. You get an athlete, you get older, that's gonna start happening like 28 and above, right? And that's why football players, like as soon as they hit 30, they get paid less, right? Usually.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
so they already know the system and when the soft tissue breaks down, because in football, 70% of injuries are soft tissue. So that's probably dehydration, not eating enough. They're probably drinking alcohol sometimes.
Yeah.
They're probably eating sugar, and they're just dehydrated of nutrients, but also like water and absorption of water. So if you look at that, where it's like, okay, do the healing and regenerative peptides. Another one for like injury is LL37 for inflammation.
LL37?
Yeah. So like you could localize it and put it in a joint with LL37 and maybe BPC 157 and TB 500, and some magical things will happen. And so those are my healing peptides that I would say that he's asking for there.
Okay. Yeah.
The cognitive peptides, the top two easiest low-hanging fruits are Slank and Cmax. And
Yeah, I was reading about this. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I want to grab them.
and
Yeah.
one lowers anxiety, one improves cognitive performance.
Okay.
And so if you can do that where you lower anxiety naturally, then you're calm, collected,
Yeah.
your ability to handle stress goes higher.
Yes.
And then if you're improving cognition, obviously you're thinking faster at the same time.
You bet. You bet.
So
I'm confused by all these names, all these acronyms, but there are things like ipamorelin,
yeah, it's a growth hormone.
growth
peptide.
hormone,
Yeah.
and then there is another one that is called. There is some other morellins in there that are used often in conversation. I keep thinking morel, which is like a mushroom, but that's not what it is.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
say
And those are also great for what you're talking about. That's
Yeah.
more like a whole health
Approach,
situation,
yeah.
and so if you were to say take that with a couple of these others,
Yes.
like you could start somewhere, and growth hormone, you want to titrate off of it because you want to do it for a certain amount of time and then back off for a little while.
Yeah.
And so in between that, like you could do, some cognitive work or some healing work at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's really important. And on the other side of those two things are mitochondrial peptides, which is MOTS-c and SS31. And
Mitochondrial even.
yeah,
Wow.
so then it enhances the energy.
It doesn't matter where.
It
Any
doesn't-
mitochondria.
It doesn't matter where. Yeah.
So,
MOTS-c after 40, we produce less of that over time. And SS31 I already introduced to build the framework of the mitochondria. And so MOTS-c acts as like a exercise mimic. So it can enhance energy, mimic exercise in the body. So when you
yeah,
go
but
exercise,
you still need to exercise.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just supports it, right?
Yeah.
And it also makes you want to do it more and naturally. And it's kind of like when you're a kid, you're not going to not go outside, right, and play.
Correct.
And so if we could go out and turn on that system again, like, oh, what would that do for athletes, but also, people above 40?
Yeah.
And so, like, I really love those three systems, mitochondria, cognition, and also healing, because you can stack them in certain ways based on needs and order them in a way that is progressive based on that need.
Good point. Good point. Wow, this is really exciting. If there's anything else you want to explain, or you think we covered it, most of it?
Yeah, we really hit a lot today. You're great at your job. I think going back to the abundant principles and how we create energy, and if we could all think abundantly towards our health, towards our rituals, like in health, towards food, like how can we come back to that? Because Japan, for instance, eats everything under the sun within balance, and they have some of the highest life expectancy on the planet. And so, like, if you come back to that natural idea into who we really are, and using the food on the earth as true medicine and not taking anything away,
Right.
and learning how to use it for power instead of weakness, could change our lives.
And try not to overeat. And I think that's
I don't think
beautiful.
you have to try if you hit the mark.
No,
And if you
no, you're right. I've noticed that increasing fibers in my diet
yeah
is not only cleansing, but it is really cleansing in a good sense, but it also helps to remove the craving for sugars. And I noticed that for me, it has been very helpful.
Yeah.
I don't crave desserts anymore. I don't crave cookies. Part of it is my mindset had to change, but part of it is that I really don't crave it anymore.
Yeah,
I can
two
do
things happen at
without
once.
it.
Yeah.
Two things happen at once.
Yeah. Yeah. It protects that cell wall of the gut when you have, say, a salad or some kind of vegetable. And when you eat that, and this is a good tip for your viewers, is the order of to have the best blood sugar is vegetables first, and then protein.
Primarily what grows above the ground.
Protein
I heard
and-
this a long time ago.
Yeah, protein and fats.
Yeah.
And then fruits or starches last. And that's the levels of satiation. And that liner in the gut that vegetables create the energy. It allows the energy to absorb slower, more efficiently, longer lasting energy. Therefore satiation. But if you eat something that doesn't expand the stomach like fiber does, then you're going to constantly be in a perpetual state of hunger.
I see.
Always looking for the next thing that you need to eat, right? So it's gonna guarantee overeating.
Well, we're going to put your website on during the interview. It'll be on there. But I want to tell people again, Tommy Snider. He is an entrepreneur and he works with metabolism and mindset. He is the founder of Master Metabolic. So if you go to mastermetabolic.com, that is one of his websites, mastermetabolic.com. You find a lot of information, including the team he's working with, some of the success stories that he's had, the services he provides, the options you have with working with Tommy and his team. The other one is called apxbiology.com, and that is primarily the website and his business that he works with peptides. So mastermetabolic.com, apxbiology.com. Check it out. Read more about it. I think you're going to have fun being educated about this topic. I think this was phenomenal. I learned a lot, Tommy. I know I talk a lot too, but I really learned a lot. I like your approach. There is an energy about you that is really personal. You talk from experience. Your care about your father shows me that health hits you personally. And I feel also when I read a little bit about your bio, you have always been interested in helping other people. You learned about it and then you say, how can I give back? How can I give back to other people? And that has turned into what you're doing right now. I think it's fantastic. And I wish you a lot of success. And I do hope to see you again. And maybe we can do another podcast and see how you're progressing.
Yeah, phase 2.
All right.
Well, as a gift and give back, because I believe we're all here to share.
Yeah.
And we're all one tribe, not separate.
You bet.
I'll give anybody here that sees this video a free first session
Oh, that's
for
fantastic.
an hour.
Oh, that's amazing.
Just to have a conversation about themselves.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, my gift. Thank you for letting me be here.
You bet. Thank you so much, Tommy. Appreciate you came in today.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All the best.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for listening, and hopefully you tune in for another episode of Health in Focus with Jacobus. All the best to you and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Visit healthinfocusnow.com.